Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Solopreneur Success Systems podcast. I have a topic for you guys that has been the topic of discussion for the entire mastermind and throughout marketing systems. We have been talking all about how to make your marketing convert better. And I have learned so much through ads that I want to share it all with you. And I also hope that if you all are listening to this after the launch of the mastermind, you got so much information. These last couple of podcasts have been so information heavy. They have been sharing really the way that I want you guys to think about going through selling. So if you have missed any of those podcasts, if you've missed being on the email list or anything like that, you want to be a part of it because the way that I sell, the way I talk about things, I think is what I'm going to be adding on to today and is something that you really want to be keeping in mind when you're thinking about selling to your audience. So today's podcast is all about what I call micro marketing moments. These micro moments are the key difference maker between a post going to be something like, that's pretty good, to, okay, I really want to take the next step and work with you. So you want to stay tuned because it's really important. First and foremost, the way I'm going to set up this podcast is I'm going to talk about what is a micro moment for marketing. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk about what it looks like to mimic that in your marketing. And then the third thing is I'm going to talk with you about how to glean those micro moments for ideas for your future posts. So let's start with first and foremost, what is micro moment marketing? When we think about micro moment marketing, I think a lot of times our brains think that in order to sell everybody, we have to keep our marketing vague because we don't know if this person is having, let's say you're a coach, you don't know if they're having a problem with their husband or their mother-in-law, they or their kids. They might have a problem with all three of them, but we don't know for sure what the difference is between Sally and Demetria, and we're not sure if we are really talking to their need. So our brains say, let's keep it general, let's keep it vague, which is great. It's a good place to start. And what happens is the human brain, if we think about the purpose of marketing, the purpose of marketing is to compel people to take action. And as a solopreneur and coach, you are trying to get people to compel that are compelled to take the action of booking a consult with you. So, what takes somebody from hearing something that they see in their marketing feed to actually being compelled to take action is whether it's relevant or urgent enough for them to take action. So I've spoken about this at length on the podcast before, but one of the things that's the differentiator that I want to add to today when we're thinking about these micro marketing moments is for you, I want you to think about, okay, when I talk to everyone and I say, okay, boundaries are important. You want to keep boundaries in mind when you're thinking about your family, when you're thinking about your relationship with your husband, when you're thinking about your kids. You want to make sure that you set really solid boundaries because then you're going to be happier. That's kind of the gist. It was like a very grotesque exaggeration, but you get the feeling, right? It's good. I feel inspired. I'm like, yeah, I want to be happier. Boundaries I'm seeing could help me do that. Sounds great. But if you say something like, if your mother-in-law comes over unannounced again, you need a better way to handle the situation. And that is what a boundary does. It provides you an outlet to have a healthy relationship while also creating a positive relationship for everybody involved. Let's talk about boundaries. And then you get into that. Do you see how, even if you didn't have a mother-in-law that was coming over unannounced, your brain needs micro moments, these mini moments that I'm talking to you in your marketing, in order for the human brain to have what? Context. You need to give a human brain some context or else they don't care. They will think it's inspirational, they'll think it's nice. It's a nice to have versus a want and need to sign up. That's what takes marketing from compelling from interesting, intriguing, inspirational to actually compelling people to take action. Now, it's been really interesting to see this take stage on my marketing as I've started to dabble into ads. Now, haven't created a really solid system for them, but you know it's coming. I already have so many ideas of what I'm going to be teaching my masterminders, but for you all, I want you to think about ads or advertisements on social media because I have grown to my million with pure organic marketing. Is I want you to think about, okay, how can I create this environment? Like the marketing organically gets you so far. It especially helps you with your warm audience. That means people that know you, they have kind of like an understanding of who you are. But when you start doing advertisements, that's when you enter the realm of a lot of cold people. People who have never met Megan Wing. They don't care about me. They don't know who I am. They have no reason to actually believe what I have to say. So that takes everything that I'm teaching you on this podcast to the next level because now I'm testing it on a bigger and some might even say harder, typically like factually less people can convert from a colder audience just based on trends. So I know that I'm giving you the best of the best. So how do we create these micro markets? What do we need to be thinking about? There are two things that I want you guys to think about. And of course, within this podcast episode, if you missed my emails, if you want to get a worksheet that goes along with this episode, guess what? I got a form for you in the show notes. So make sure you download it whenever you are listening to this podcast, because this is going to be where you take the understanding of what I'm teaching you and actually apply it. And it becomes two pieces. The first piece I want you to think about is I want you to make a list of 5 people who would be perfect for your offer. This doesn't mean diving down. If you guys are familiar with ideal client avatars, it doesn't mean doing a deep dive into one person. It doesn't mean that you're going down and naming Brenda, who is a physical therapist and mother. A lot of times people go too deep into those situations. They go too deep into that ideal client avatar and they get so obsessed with that one person that their marketing is so too niche that it doesn't really land for everybody. So what you want to do is you want to think about 5 kind of situations, 5 scenarios. And I'll tell you exactly what I did for my launch of my scaling systems mastermind that worked really well for me. Is there were 5 people who I was talking to. There was a person who was an under earner, that is a solopreneur, somebody who wasn't making what they knew they were capable of. The next person was a jobbyist, somebody who has a full-time job and they wanted to go full-time. There was a stay-at-home startup, which is a stay-at-home parent that has aspirations of having their business be a real contribution to their family. There was the person who struggles with social media marketing and just absolutely hates being on social and being on the gram and anything like that. And then there was the person who had plateaued, the person who has been at the same area and they wanted to grow. So those are the people. Do you see how I'm not naming them Tracia? I'm not saying it's Sally. I'm not saying it's that specific, Alejandra, but I'm going in and I'm making a just a generalization of a person in a scenario that I'd like to work with. So that's what I want you to do first, is I want you to create a list of 5 people and 5 scenarios that you would be willing and interested in working with that you feel like your offer would be a really good fit for. Then, for each of those 5 people, I want you to do a deeper dive and think about 5 times when they feel like they're really struggling. One of mine was when your husband asks you, is your business ever going to make money? Another one that I had was talking about working on vacation, spending 3 hours on a post for it to get 0 likes, going a month without a consult, and then experiencing and then having them ghost you. And then, oh, the fifth one was good. Oh, feeling like you need to go viral. That's what the whole fully booked formula, that whole webinar I did was all about how to be fully booked with a small audience. So in your marketing, you are speaking to a person in a scenario and a struggle they're experiencing. And I want you to do that. I did 5 general situations and 5 people, but what you could do is you can do 5 even for the people and you can get really granular about what you're doing in your marketing and then you can write your posts to those micro moments. So that is one of the things that I want you to leave with is I want you to think about how you can enhance, not completely change, but enhance a post this week and make your marketing even stronger for next week. So these are my things that I have for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Solopreneur Success Systems podcast. If you want the worksheet and so much more, go ahead and use the link in the show notes, and I will get that to you as soon as possible. It will be from support at Megan Wing Coaching, and then you'll see that worksheet, the download, and you'll be getting all the up-to-date information about the mastermind and other things that are coming your way. So that is all. I hope you guys enjoyed this short and sweet podcast, and I can't wait to see you next week.